So we're going to take a minute to talk about who orders what, who does what in the transaction. Let's say it's your first transaction, you're not sure what's normal. You've got some stuff in the contract that says these inspections are going to happen. Should you be ordering that? Are you passing that to your client to do? Should the agent on the other side be doing that? And so we're going to talk about what are some general rules and customs about who does what. But before we get into that, I think the overarching principle here is that even though we're going to talk about some customs and what we think is normal and common, you may have an agent on the other side who decides the day after your escrow gets accepted that he's going to spend the next 4 months in Paris and there's real bad reception and you can't get a hold of them and you thought they were going to order these reports and they're just not getting done. You need to do it. So if the person on the other side isn't carrying their weight, you can take some initiative to get some of these things done, even if customarily they might be handled by the other side. If you're unsure, always check with a mentor or a manager. If there's something about this situation that you think really shouldn't be done by you, should be done by the other side, or maybe just you can't do it for one reason or the another. However, for the most part, these things just need to get done on behalf of your client. Don't get hung up too much on what we're going to discuss here as the custom. With that, customarily, the buyer's agent and buyer would handle everything to do with the general home inspection. So this is the kind of overarching inspection on the property that the buyer would do. That buyer typically wants to order this because they want it done by a person who's representing them to inspect the property. You don't usually want your seller picking the home inspector. Almost always that home inspection is paid for by the buyer and they want to have the say in who does that. That means they're going to order that inspection. So that's a big one on the buy side. Other things like a termite inspection, a roof inspection, septic inspection, a well inspection, if you're talking about rural properties. In the offer, if these things are a part of the transaction, the offer specified these items are going to be done and there's a box checked for who is paying for that item, either buyer or seller. And typically whoever's paying for it is who would be ordering it. There are exceptions to that in some cases, but for the most part, if the seller's paying for it, the seller's going to order it. If the buyer's paying for it, the buyer's going to order it. That being said, even though that's the custom, to remove any doubt, we highly, highly, highly recommend, say you're the buyer, you're writing this offer, and you know that they would prefer a particular inspector or a particular contractor to do this investigation, then you would name them, like name the specific contractor if you can. Then it doesn't really matter who orders it. If you know this is going to be the person doing the work, doesn't matter as much who orders it. One other element you need to think about is there a TC involved? Is there a TC involved on both sides of the transaction potentially? That's definitely a conversation you want to have with your TC. If you've been working one for a while, they may have already talked to you about, hey, do you want me to order these on your behalf? That might be something that they're helping with. It might not, but either way, it's something you want to ask so you're not doing duplicate orders or creating some confusion that muddies the waters with the client about like, hey, I thought you were doing this, but they sent some other message ordering this particular inspection. You just want to get clarity of which side is going to do it, and then separately you're going to have on your side, whichever side that may be, are you using a TC? And if so, is the TC ordering it or you ordering it? Another key item that you will not be responsible for ordering, but you need to be aware of is the appraisal. The appraiser getting access to be able to complete their appraisal is a key part of the transaction. If there's any kind of loan involved, in terms of clarifying who's who orders it, the lender orders it, but you as the listing agent or buyer's agent, you want to know that it's been ordered. So it is appropriate to check in, ask for confirmation that it's been ordered. When is it scheduled? Okay, they've come out to do the visit. When is the completed report due? All of those questions are appropriate to ask either by you as the either buyer or selling agent or listing agent, or either TC can ask those questions. It's a key activity in your transaction, so you want to know A, that it's been ordered, and B, that it's happened, even though it's not one that you're directly responsible for doing. You are responsible for knowing that it got done. Another subtopic in this who does what part of the transaction conversation is having to do with natural hazard disclosures. Really, I'm going to use natural hazard disclosures or NHD as an example here. The natural hazard disclosure is a seller required disclosure in California that has to be done based on the contract in the first 7 days. However, listing agents often will not do that because it's customary for escrow to actually order that NHD report, and they will wait until the very end to have it signed. The problem with this is that although it's a convenience, they've done it for you up until it's done. So from day 7 up until, let's say it's not done until day 24, the seller had not met their obligation during all of that window of time. This is an example of a custom that is actually detrimental to the clients, where sure, it's convenience to you as the agent that escrow will get that document signed, but the contract says it should be done earlier. So you may have to push upstream a little bit to make sure that those things are done on the timelines that the contract says. Yes, customarily somebody else will take care of it, but you may need to do it to make sure that your client is getting that requirement met on the timeline that was agreed in the contract. That's an example of this broader topic of escrow will take care of it. So that phrase you'll hear said more than it should be in the industry, because escrow is very customer service oriented. They want to give the agents as seamless of an experience as possible, so that a lot of times they will take that burden on of doing things that aren't their responsibility, but they will do it for you, but they may not do it in a time period that's expected. They may not do it the way that it needed to be done. And if they did it wrong, ultimately it can still be your responsibility, or you may still have to deal with the cleanup of that. Ordering natural hazard disclosures is one. Ordering home warranties, the right home warranty, the right dollar amount on home warranties is another. That's commonly done by escrow, but it's not really their responsibility. If you hear that phrase, oh, escrow will take care of it, that's fine. Just be careful that you are not letting them do something that really falls on your plate that has a really key time period that needs to be met. Keep in mind, there are customs, but there are also exceptions. And when in doubt, check in with a manager if you're not sure, hey, this needs to be done. I don't know if I need to be doing it or if somebody else needs to be doing it. Hopefully this gives you a broad sense of how you can make that determination based on the contract, who's paying, how it needs to get done. However, even if you're not the one that's supposed to do it, you may still need to do it in order to move your transaction forward and to just as a part of doing what it takes as an agent to get this deal done for your buyer or your seller. Thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful. If you learned something or if this helped you solve a problem, follow me for more.